Welcome back to Bama Network. I'm Caitlin Heffler.
I'm Jade Saylor.
And today we will be discussing the breakdown of the Iron Bowl, along with some exciting news of what happened this morning, and also get to some basketball talk.
Okay, so for those of you that are familiar with Tide 100.9 FM radio, the producer of the Gary Harris Show reached out to us via Twitter a few weeks ago and asked if we would like to come sit in on Gary's show. And of course, we thought that would be a good experience for us, so this was the morning that we planned to go in. And as we arrived, we were informed that we would actually be on the radio show.
Kind of caught off guard.
Yeah, we were a little bit surprised, but excited to get the opportunity. Yeah. So we went in the studio. Here is our picture from this morning. We basically got to talk all about the Iron Bowl, about Bama Network and how we started this, and about basketball with Gary on the radio. So it was a really cool experience for us.
It was super nice too because Gary, he is also an anchor at WVUA 23 News and has his own show. So he is just the sports god. He knows so much. It was really great to learn from him. He has so much knowledge about sports in general and is just a passionate fan of all Alabama sports. So it was super great to learn from someone that is in our industry. And also, it was so nice that he gave us a chance to even work with him and get ourselves out there. Yeah. So that was super great. We plan on coming back after Christmas break and also being on the show a couple more times and doing some work for them as well.
If you're not following us on Twitter, you should be. It's at Bama Network, and Gary tweeted out this morning that we were going to be on the show. Unfortunately, we didn't see it until we were already on the show, so we couldn't retweet it until it was too late. But next time we're going to be on it, we will be sure to tweet out ahead of time so that you guys can listen in.
And definitely give Gary Harris a follow along with Tide 109. They really tweet out all Bama sports as well. So if you're a big Bama fan, go ahead and do that. All right, now on to some talk about the Iron Bowl. What a game.
What a game.
What a game.
We should change the name every other year when we play Auburn, the Luck Bowl. Because it's so lucky. They get so lucky. I don't understand. The Luck Bowl.
It's not the Iron Bowl. The Luck Bowl. All right. Well, to start off, I think that it definitely did not go how we thought it would. I think going into the game, we always talk about the games ahead of time. What do we predict is going to happen? Who do we think is going to have a good game? What are we going to struggle with? Because that kind of helps us, focus on stuff to look out for during the game. I think going into it, we were both kind of didn't really know what to expect. Would you agree?
If you would have told me that the final Alabama score was 45 and I didn't know Auburn's final score, I would have willingly put down $1,000 that we won the game, because I did not expect us or Auburn to score over 20-30 points with their defense as good as it is and our offense as good as it is.
Yeah.
And their offense as bad as it has been for them. And it's such a weird year because usually it's the Alabama defense versus the Auburn offense, and this year it was opposite.
Yeah.
And
I think that, on the show this morning, we were talking with Gary about the game, and he talked about, what would our season have been like if we had a healthy Tua. He asked us our opinion. Do we think that we would have gone 12-0? Both of us kind of disagreed. It's so hard to say, though, because, yes, even if you had a healthy Tua, you still need a healthy defense. You still need everyone to work together, and stuff happens all the time in games. So you can't predict what if this, what if that, what if Tua were healthy. We don't know how the games would still turn out. So it's super hard to say. I think that Mac showed up, though.
Absolutely.
I think he had a great game.
Yeah.
So
even with his 2 pick sixes, I told Gary this morning, he asked what we thought, and I said, I think Mac was phenomenal despite the 2 pick sixes, and he was like, oh, but the 2 pick sixes, change the game. If we have Tua, if that doesn't happen, first of all, Tua has thrown interceptions. He is human. It could have happened. And second of all, I think it matters more about the defense, because if we did have Tua and Tua goes down and scores, then Auburn's just going to come back and run down the field and score, because our defense wasn't stopping them. They didn't answer.
Well, and like we talked about before the show, pick sixes, yes, those were Mac's fault, but also it has to do with how our offense reads into the play. Something happens, of course, defense beat us to the ball.
Yep.
And there was obviously a miscommunication between Mac Jones and our offense. Yes, it was Mac's fault, but there's a lot that goes into it. So it's really hard to point the finger at just one player.
And just like we were talking before the show, the second pick six was just, should have never happened.
Yeah,
I'm really confused why we were throwing the ball instead of running the ball. The way that Najee had been running up until that point, we were on first down and we were literally on the goal line.
Now let's talk about the mishaps of the game. Starting off, the 1 second field goal call. All right, so 1 second left on the clock. And there was a lot of confusion whether or not Auburn should have been allowed to kick or not. What is your opinion and take on that?
When you look at the replay, I agree there was 1 second left before his elbow was on the ground. So that's fine if you want to put that second back on there. Gus Malzahn knows what 1 second can do in a football game.
Obviously.
This is twice now. Okay? So I'm so confused. As Saban said, it should take at least 3 seconds to set and snap the ball and kick it. And I'm not really sure how they did it in 1 second. I mean, if they did, and if that's what the officials say, then I'm pretty sure there's nothing I can do about it now.
Well, I gotta disagree because although I do not know, I'm not a ref, I don't know every rule to the game, but I thought that the rule was you had to snap the ball in under a second, not snap the ball and kick it, because obviously you couldn't do all of that in 1 second.
That's true.
You couldn't snap the ball, set the ball, and then kick it.
Right.
But I do think that it is possible to snap the ball in 1 second.
Definitely.
Maybe not. Like I'm not sure about the rules, but yes, that was a huge thing that affected us throughout the game. But that is not the only thing that did. No. Now we have that missed field goal. Hitting the pole. I think that's harder than making it.
It is.
Like,
it is.
That's luck. You have interesting luck, but I think it's hard to hit the pole. I think that is another way that definitely affected.
That would have tied the game up right there. So, obviously, like we said, that's not the only thing, the only reason we lost, but there's another.
And so we talked about this on Gary's show, about the penalties, about the many mistakes, but a lot of people have failed to mention the first touchdown that we scored. A touchdown is worth more points than a field goal. And we didn't get that touchdown because of a holding call.
Yeah, I mean,
holding!
13 penalties. 13 penalties, but I don't know. In my lifetime, obviously, the longer part of my lifetime, Saban has been the coach. This is the most undisciplined Alabama team I've ever seen. I've never seen it. And honestly, like, so many of them are coming from veterans, like offensive lineman Cedric Wills and Alex Leatherwood, and you are too old. You cannot be making mistakes like this, especially in critical games like this.
Yes, I agree. I think that penalties, missed points, I mean, Bama had 6 go-ahead scores in this game, and we lost. Like, I don't understand. We had 515 yards, 354 for Auburn.
Yeah, we beat them in stats all around. They had 2 defensive touchdowns. That does come from the pick sixes. And then they had that field goal that, whether you want to count it or not, they got it. Then we missed a field goal. And now let's talk about the last play of the game. Like, what happened? Well, Gary had a good point this morning. I hadn't thought of it that way, that this wasn't Auburn's intention for us to get a penalty.
Yeah, not to get a penalty, not to get 12 Alabama players on the field. How did they have control over that?
Right.
No.
And you could see it all over their face. They were surprised that it happened the way that it did.
Coach said that they had this play planned for the entire game, and they were waiting for the right time to use it. Yeah. And the reason why they waited was because they wanted to get Waddle off the field.
Right.
And they got him off the field. And
well, they didn't get him off the field. That was where the 12th man came from.
Yes. But that's called rushing the play. That's a thing. I think that, yes, I don't think they gave Alabama enough time, but obviously they didn't want our defense to be on the field because they had to do something to win. Right. They had to figure it out. And it happened. Do I think it was fair? No, but sometimes you have to play dirty. Like
they weren't going to go for it on the 30 or wherever they were. So obviously, like, that wasn't their plan. Like, they were trying to confuse us. They were trying to get Waddle off the field. It worked. But also, what I'm really confused why it happened before they snapped the ball. Why that we got the penalty before they snapped the ball. Because I'm pretty sure that the rule, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the rule from the SEC officiating, from officiating in general, is that you can't give a penalty until you snap the ball.
You just have to.
We should have had enough time.
Only the offense has to be ready. That you don't have to wait for the defense to be ready.
Even if they were ready, there was no snap.
Well, was it because of the time? Did they run out of time on offense? Because I know that it only matters if you get the offense ready. It doesn't matter if the defense is ready. But obviously, if the penalty happened before the snap,
Well, obviously, if they would have ran out of time, if the clock would have ran down on the offense, then they would have been penalized for not snapping the ball off before the clock ran down, so then the penalties would have canceled each other. And so then you just have to wonder, like, what went on for this referee to go ahead and throw the flag and say, you have 12 men on the field, like, at this moment. I'm just a little confused. Like, I don't have an answer. I don't want to sound uneducated, but, like, I'm not educated on this subject.
I think a lot of people, though, don't know the answer.
That's true.
Because, it's still a thing that's being talked about. Like, no one really knows. Well, still very unclear, but we still lost.
Regardless.
Due to many issues, though, that was just the worst way to walk off the field.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember it happening. I was like, well, that's how it's ending. That's how it's ending.
I laughed. And I'm like a diehard, like, cry when we're down by one touchdown type of girl when it comes to Alabama football. But when I saw that was the way that game ended, I was like, that couldn't have ended any other way. Like, this Iron Bowl, it was one of those historic, crazy Iron Bowls, and it ended like that. I'm not surprised. We, as an offense, doubled almost what Auburn defense has given up all year. Mm-hmm. And we still couldn't win because our defense gave up so much. It's just disappointing.
Okay, I gotta say, though, that number 5 on Auburn, the nose guard, I believe his name is Derek Brown. Yes.
Very good.
He is the best nose guard I have seen this entire year. He was definitely giving us so much trouble throughout the entire game. And for people to say stuff about Mac, number 5 would have given Tua problems too. Any quarterback.
Yeah.
That guy is amazing. He is something very special. He's definitely going to be drafted first round.
You have to credit Mac and you have to credit Sark here because Sark had the perfect game plan for Mac. I mean, Mac was successful in so many ways in this game. Like, you have to give credit to the game plan for that too.
Honestly, I thought that overall Mac looked pretty good.
I was kind of confident.
Very confident. Kind of like smooth too, very athletic.
Even after the pick sixes, it was nice to see the way that he bounced back from that. Like, he wasn't worried about what everyone would have to say about him.
He didn't
was
let it
worried
drag
about
him
the
down.
next play.
Yes. Well, obviously, on the bright side though, Waddle was definitely dominant on the field, catching 3 touchdowns and returning a kickoff for the 4th. He had an amazing game.
He did. This was Waddle's, like, standout game of the year. I mean, it was so much fun to watch him. There was one time when he had the ball in his hands and my mom was, like, just blown away by how, like, he beat out all the defenders and got the touchdown. And I was like, I don't even worry anymore. Like, if the ball is in his hands, no matter where he's at, like, he's going to outrun anybody in his way.
He's just so fun to watch. I don't think I've seen a faster person.
I don't either.
He's, like, graceful, too, when he runs. Like, I just don't understand. He has, like, a force field. Well, this leaves Bama with 2 losses in the regular season. We are out of the playoffs. That means that the Tide won't play in the national championship for the first time since 2014. How do you feel about that?
This is the first playoffs that we have ever missed in the history of the college football playoffs, and I don't like it. It's disappointing because coming into this season, this was supposed to be our best season of the dynasty. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to have the best offense we've ever had in this elite defense with Dylan Moses and Joshua McMillan and so on and so forth. Before all these injuries, this was our season. We were coming for blood. It was set up so perfectly. The playoffs, we had LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson. It was our revenge tour. And I think the injuries took this away from us completely. And you can blame it on poor play. You can blame it on penalties. You can blame it on the refs. I blame it on the injuries because without the injuries, we're 12-0.
We can't blame it on the refs.
No, that's stupid.
That's one of my... Can we please stop that trend on Twitter? Please.
They might suck, but, like, if we were doing what we were supposed to, it wouldn't come down to that. You know?
I think that, yes, refs are critical to the game, but we can only control how we play.
Yes.
Each player and each coach can only control how they coach or how they play.
Yeah.
We can't control what refs say. So I think it's about time that we just
let that trend
give
die.
Give that a go.
One thing to note is we all know Alabama has had terrible luck with kickers over the past decade and so on. Auburn's kicker coming into this game had been, I saw a stat, I haven't looked it up, so don't quote me, but he was 4 out of 11 for his last few games. I'm not sure to what game that reached. Made every single extra point and field goal in this game, which leads me to the stat that every kicker has made every field goal against Alabama this season. So that is just a little cherry on top to our season. And going back to the offensive side of the ball here, Bo Nix was 15 for 30 with 173 yards and 1 touchdown.
And Mac threw 335 yards and 4 touchdowns.
So this game comes down to a lot. A lot of mistakes were made, but it has to come down to the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I agree. I think, though, both teams, Auburn and Alabama, put up a good fight.
Yeah.
I think they both did. Yes, there were penalties, missed kicks, issues with touchdowns, whatnot. But both teams are great teams. Both coached by great coaches. Different coaching styles. But it's hard. I don't know. It's hard to... We were both very, confused about who would win this game.
Yeah. I was...
Obviously, because they're both good teams.
Confused.
But going back to kickers, our kicker, Bulvis, tweeted a sorry note. And I have mixed feelings about that. But also, it makes me sad that he thinks that his one missed field goal costed us the game. Obviously, it affected us. But it's just so sad because these players are our age. And they have so much pressure on us. Yes. Some are going to the NFL. They have so much on their plate. And I just think that we all need to show them support.
Yeah, they need it.
You can't point the finger at Saban or Bulvis or Tua or whoever. It's a team effort. It's a team sport. Team loss.
Yeah, and without pointing fingers, I think we need to make some changes on staff. I think that I'm not going to name names. You can take this for what you want, but there are certain people that need to be replaced. We need leaders on the team, and we just didn't have that leadership this year that we've had in the past. And we need recruiters.
Yes.
And so far, we're doing good with recruiting right now. We just moved up to the number 2 spot, so that's good for us. And we have Bryce coming in next year. Clemson.
Okay.
Things are looking good for the future.
Yeah.
There are just changes that needed to be made that hopefully will be made.
So there's a lot of talk on Tua. Tua today is meeting with the media at 2:30 at Malmore Athletic Facility.
He met with the media 20 minutes ago.
So, do we have an update?
Breaking news. Time flies when you're having fun. Asked Tua what his timeable was for making an NFL decision, and he said he didn't know. Could be tomorrow, could be down the road. So, it is safe to say that this press conference was not to determine whether or not Tua would stay or go, but more so, I guess he's been asked multiple questions by the media, and instead of doing one interview at a time, he just decided to address them all.
Well, let's give some background info for those that may not be caught up on this. So with Tua's injury, his likelihood of being drafted in the first round or whatnot has altered. And so now he's trying to make the decision of, I guess, whether he should stay at Alabama next year or if he will get drafted. It's uncertain. We thought that he was going to make the announcement today. But what's your opinion on Tua staying next year? Or do you think that he's going to get drafted?
I think that, it's such a toss-up whether a team will take this chance on him. If the right team wants to take a chance on him, and if the Dolphins want him, they've tanked for Tua for the past 2 years, and now all of a sudden, Ryan Tannehill is playing good football. It makes you wonder if they're no longer tanking for him, if they're waiting for next year, or if they're trying to decide what he's going to do. And maybe they'll take the chance on him, let him sit next year, and let Tannehill play out his last year under contract, and then Tua will start. You got to look at it from that point of view. And then also you have to look at it from, is he going to be ready? Obviously, he's not going to be ready for the combine. So then you have to wonder if he is going to want to take the chance to go and see if he gets drafted. He's lost money if he doesn't go when he's supposed to, and he doesn't have insurance for that, and he knows that, and he's talked about it. He doesn't graduate in December, so now if he leaves, he doesn't have a degree, and he doesn't have guaranteed that he'll go in the first round. He doesn't have guaranteed that he won't get injured again, but then you don't want him to come back and play and get injured again in his senior year. It's just so many, I just don't know.
A lot goes into it. I mean, I think there are pluses and minuses to each situation, but in my opinion, you mentioned a lot of good points. I think that it would be in his best interest to stay next year so that he could get that degree. He is injury prone.
Yes.
What if something happens? He's not going to have a degree. So what's going to happen if, worst case scenario? But I think also we have to remember that in the NFL, obviously top-notch athletes that he's going to be going against. So he needs to be completely healed.
Yes.
Completely rehabbed. Not rushed at all. I think that he needs to take this year to really rehab, and also he can be responsible for being a leader still on the team for Bryce Young.
I agree completely.
And take him under his wing and really help develop the offense and just be there for the team. Yes. But I think it'd be in his best interest to not rush things, to not rush his rehab, to really take the time, because obviously if he wants to last in the NFL, he needs to start off on the right foot.
Yeah. Partial to want to say, go to wherever you get drafted, you'll get drafted to a better team if you don't get drafted in the top 10, and you'll have a longer career, and you can sit behind Tom Brady if you get drafted to the Patriots. That's the top.
Yeah.
And you'll work your way back up to that money that you lost, but then do you want to do that? Do you want to just leave that chance on the table? Me personally, I would love to see Tua come back and rehab and get better and mentor Bryce and his younger brother and still be there for Mac and whoever is our starting quarterback. See him go where he deserves to go. But it's just a whole toss-up in the air. I guess, when he gets that draft grade, if he feels like a team is going to guarantee him, I think he'll definitely declare. And maybe that's his point in this press conference today, is to get that point across to this team to say, if you promise me that you'll take me in the top 10, I'll declare for the draft. But if I don't have this guarantee, I'm not coming. So good luck. You can draft another quarterback. You can draft Justin Herbert. So it's just all a big I don't know at this point.
Well, should we check and see if we have an update?
So this says, Tua said he would support draft-eligible teammates with any decision they made about possibly sitting out a bowl game.
So there's a lot of talk in the media about, is it a problem that players that declare for the draft if they sit out during a bowl game? What's your...
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think it gives the younger guys experience to play in a meaningful game and get ready for next year, while the other players that have put in their time and efforts, get ready for the draft. I mean, you've worked your way to this point. This is your talent. You don't want to risk getting hurt in the last game. That obviously, it means something, but it doesn't mean the playoffs. So I don't have a problem if you're going high first round and you want to sit a bowl game, sit.
And not get injured, then go ahead.
Clearly, with this team, I would sit. Because this team is cursed.
It's been a lot of confusion, obviously, this year in Bama football, and it's going to continue to be interesting throughout this year and next year. I think that this was kind of a, learning year, to what happens when we won't have Tua,
Yeah.
What are we going to do without him? And, okay, worst case scenario, most of our defensive players are injured. Okay, what are we going to do to fix that? And that's why I was kind of satisfied with how we played in the Iron Bowl, because yes, we kind of had a rough season. I agree, but we kind of brought together what we could. And that's what I like to see.
Yeah. And all this talk from the media, and we are the media, and I know this is going to be us one day, but you guys have got to stop that the dynasty's over, that Saban is over.
Yeah.
No other coach. I would like to see another coach take these injuries, this team, the turnover on coaching staff every year, and go 10-2, because it wouldn't happen. And it's disappointing for Alabama because we're spoiled, because we are the standard, to not make the playoffs for the first time ever, and to go 10-2, possibly 10-3 in a season for the first time. since 2010.
But the football world acts like we got killed by teams. We lost to, yes, okay, we had kind of a weird schedule, didn't play the best teams, but we lost to two of the best teams by a few points without Tua.
A collective 9 points.
With injured players.
No one else can do that.
That's why I don't understand how we dropped to number 12.
Exactly.
Are they not going to enjoy watching us without Tua? Like, if anything, in my opinion, I have been so excited to see how we change and recover from Tua's injury.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, like, what's going to happen this week? Are we going to be better? Are we going to get killed? Like, what's going to happen? But
offensively, we've been fine. I mean, obviously, like, I love Tua. I miss Tua. Tua's the best quarterback we've ever seen. But we've been fine. Like, we've adjusted to Mac and to the plays, and everything has went well on offense without Tua.
So that's our breakdown for the Iron Bowl, and we also talked a lot about it this morning on Gary's show. So it has just been a lot of talk on it, but we've loved it. So moving on, Bama women's basketball has a game tonight at Coleman Coliseum versus Iowa State. So go ahead and go show up and show your support. We kind of talked about on Gary's show how student attendance is definitely an issue with the other sports. So let's all get out there.
Yeah.
We have a men's basketball game tomorrow night as well. Along with Bama sports, Bama gymnastics is opening at Auburn on January 10th. And now on to Bama basketball.
So like you said, we have a game tomorrow, Friday. We play Stephen F. Austin. And like Gary said this morning on his show, you would have never thought that would be a big, exciting game. Except last week, they went into Duke and beat them at home. Just a phenomenal job by them and the coaches. It was completely unexpected. This is a big game. So if you are seeing this before tomorrow night, like, please get out and support this team. They are trying to turn this program around, and they can't do it without the support of you. But back to last week, Alabama did go to the Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas, and were disappointed, to say the least. It is a rebuilding year. We talked about it all morning. It's a different coach, a different style of play.
It's the fact that the Tide plays at a very fast pace that Oates wants.
Yes.
But they have very mixed results. It's like the players run faster and play faster than their minds can comprehend what to do.
I agree.
But I think that we are getting better. I think that we are improving. We are just adopting to a new coaching style and this fast-paced game.
Yeah, and we talked about it all morning, and we agree that once we are able to get these injured players back, it's another injury season. We had
what is up with Bama sports?
James Rojas and Juan Gary go down before this season. You've seen Beetle Bolden go down, Herbert Jones go down, Alex Reese go down multiple times during the games. And so it's just, we are going to have to recruit our own guys in that Nate Oates wants, and that way we have more guys to play with this fast style of basketball. Because when you have 3 or 4 guys that can keep up on the court, they can't play the full 40 minutes because we don't have enough guys off the bench to come in and rescue them from running up and down the court 1,000 times.
And it's so important, even if you don't put in your best players when you're subbing out your starters, you just need a fresh pair of legs sometimes just to change the flow of the game, in my opinion. So, like you said, we need to get some players so that our starters can really recover. So I think it's all about, recruiting some players, getting in some fresh legs, mixing it up until our stars are ready to come back in. Also fix those layups. We still are missing some layups. I don't understand. But I think we are on the road of improving.
Yeah, this is just going to be it's almost going to be like a season of off season for Alabama basketball. A big rebuilding, not even rebuilding. It's like a fresh new start, new coach, new players. Javon Clonerly is now not eligible, so that's another guy on the bench. So it's going to be a good practice year. We have a terrible non-conference. It's very hard non-conference schedule. And then the SEC is a very difficult schedule to play in basketball. So it's going to be good practice for us. We probably won't make the tournament, but next year, I have high hopes for us. But back to John Petty and his adapting to this style. He really adapted in the Bahamas. We finally got to see that 5-star basketball player that we recruited to Alabama 3 years ago. Alabama played North Carolina in their first game at Battle for Atlantis. They lost 76-67. Now, we played with them for the first half, and it seems like the first half we always just, we are winded, we can't keep up after that. I would have never thought we would have kept up with them the way that we did. We had Cole Anthony locked down. It was the Brooks guy that we didn't. But John Petty came to play during this tournament. He had 23 points, and Kyrie Lewis Jr. had 20 points. Unfortunately, even with those two, we were only 38% accurate for the game, so it wasn't enough. Defensively, we weren't enough, and we just got outplayed. I mean, it was North Carolina. I don't know what we really expected, but then going into the second game against Iowa State, I had high hopes, and our defense gave up 104 points. So
we're definitely having problems rushing back to get back for defense. Yeah. And simple mistakes can be fixed. We just need to adjust to the game, make those points, make those free throws, 3-pointers, whatever it is. Yeah. We just have to find a way to win at this point.
Yes. And I think we scored 89 against Iowa State. And people have been saying, and I agree, that if we had Avery Johnson out there coaching, that we would be in the 50s. Like, it was a miracle to reach 60 points. Right. So at least our defense isn't covering and giving up 104 points. At least we're scoring 89, which is a major improvement. And John Petty, again, he had 34 points in this game. I was like, is this the John Petty Jr. that I'm used to watching? Unfortunately, we were 51-36 at the half, which was just a major deficit, but we ended up coming back well. And Iowa State forced 10 turnovers for Alabama. We have to work on turning the ball over. It is a major problem for us. And thankfully, in our last game at the Battle for Atlantis, we advanced to 3-4 in the non-conference season. We had a great game starting out. It was just like that fast play. We were up and down and scoring, and everything was going in. We were up 20-4, and somehow let them come back at halftime. It was 38-35, and then we ended up winning 83-63. And I think Beetle Bolden was a lot to credit for that. He went off. He had a career high of 23 points.
Wow.
Kyrie Lewis had 20 points again. That must just be his number. I don't know. But we did miss 14 of the last 16 field goal attempts. So just like you said, we have got to work on those free throws and the shooting and just basically work on our game overall. We are improving, but it is a long way to come.
Yep, just like our Bama football team is adjusting to injuries and whatnot, so is Bama basketball. But I think it's going to be a promising year next year, I'm hoping. I think this is really just a year for all of us to break things down, go to the basics, and, improve. Comes down to improving.
But there's always softball season.
And gymnastics and baseball. On that note, that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. We are getting ready to head back home for Christmas break after we take our finals. But in a few weeks, we will be posting a video that we will be filming today. Basically a breakdown of, the draft and off-season work and what else are we doing?
Early National Signing Day. Conference play is coming up this weekend, so obviously we'll only be able to give our preview and you will have already seen what happens, but
we just wanted to give you guys a video to watch over Christmas break.
We know you'll miss us.
But thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you all enjoyed. And definitely leave us comments. We love hearing from you guys. Let us know what you thought about the Iron Bowl, what you think. Is Tua going to come back? Is he going to declare for the draft? What do you think is going to happen? And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Bama Network, as well as on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Caitlin Heffler.
I'm Jade Saylor. Roll Tide.